Hey guys, welcome back to the Full Force Combat Podcast. We are back after another night of fights. I am here with Alex. How are you doing today, Alex?
I'm doing all right, Nathan. How's it going? Everything okay, mate?
I'm good. Obviously, you can notice it's me leading it. Dan's not here, unfortunately, out having a lovely dinner tonight, but we're still going to
Nice.
talk fights. We're still going to talk UFC 312, 3-1, 312.
Yeah, free
Plessis, Sean
talk.
Strickland. We said our thoughts about this fight being a barn burner, and today it turned out it was going to be quite one-sided. Du Plessis, can we stop doubting him now? I guess is the sort of feel we're taking with this one. What did you make of the fight, Alex?
Yeah, I was a lot more pleased with this fight than I was the last one anyway. Just because of how active DDP was, like he was a lot more versatile. He kind of battered Sean every round, and that was a lot more entertaining than them both kind of dance around for. And I don't know, but yeah, it was much more entertaining than the first time around, in my opinion, anyway.
It showed. I think Du Plessis clearly is someone that we can call him an ugly fighter, and he's definitely not the most aesthetically pleasing, in terms of technique and things like that. But he is capable of making very good reads, and you can tell he definitely had adjusted from that last fight and made those switches, and obviously he's listening to his team. Whereas Strickland,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
once he realised Du Plessis figured him out, he didn't quite have an answer to that, and it maybe proved a little bit that Strickland might be just a bit one note, and
Yeah,
that note
yeah,
got found out by Du Plessis.
yeah, mate. I agree. Like, his corner team was throwing out all the right shouts and everything, but he just didn't seem to. It just didn't seem to be switched on. He just seemed to be somewhere else, to me personally. But I was thinking, what could you do with Shaw now? Like
Mm.
after this, because he's fought for the belt twice in his last three fights, so he's obviously going to have to earn his way back to this point. But I was having to think about it, and I think you rebooked the Adesanya Sean 2 fight. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what you think about
I don't think that's a bad shout at all, and it's one of them. With Adesanya how he is at the moment, his chin
that.
ain't going to get. He's not going to get tested too much by Sean, and Sean's. He's got a fantastic jab out that, but he's not going to knock him out. That's realistic. Strickland's best performance of his life, he didn't knock Adesanya out, so I don't see that
Yeah.
happening. I mean, the other one, and we might touch on this as well, but I mean, the winner of the Cannonier Rodrigues fight, possibly for Sean
Mm.
Strickland. I mean, that's coming up, and that works timing wise. As probably that fight will be okay, and Cannonier's got that split decision win over Strickland. I mean, if I'm honest, that's not a fight that necessarily appeals to me a whole ton, but it's
Yeah.
a fight you could give him. You could headline an Apex, I guess, and then I mean, Du Plessis. I mean, again, the world's his oyster now. It's got to be the Chimaev fight, though, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. In the build up to this, they were saying in pretty much every interview, "Or Chimaev's next. I'm going to out wrestle him. I've been practicing to outstrike Strickland. I'm going to out wrestle Chimaev." And so yeah. I think, but also he also threw out the Alex Pereira shout at the
Mm.
end of the fight, which I thought was pretty brave, to be honest. He's got a set of balls, but I think he definitely do. You do Dricus versus Chimaev, and then you go from there. If DDP gets past Chimaev, I say you book the Alex Pereira at light heavyweight. I think you do it.
Yeah,
Nothing.
let him have it.
I think it's sending a lamb to the slaughter, but Dricus du Plessis as the biggest amount of plot armor I've ever seen ever in the UFC. So who knows? Who knows? He could clutch it.
I mean, the thing is, with him, I mean, he's won all the fights I'm going to reference here, but like the one issue, because the guy's so talented, the one issue has possibly been his conditioning. And I mean, Du Plessis is always on it. He always looks a mess, but he looks a mess from the start to finish. It's the same every round. And where Chimaev has in fights that he's won, and that I'm not saying that they anything like that, but like the Gilbert Burns fight sticks out where he got took into deep waters, and you could tell he was slowing down a little bit, and that was 3 rounds, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It was
5
that was
rounds of
3 rounds.
Du Plessis, who's not bad on the ground. And I know again you're talking about a different level with Chimaev, but it could possibly. I mean, the thing is, Du Plessis will just win so often. Can you even rule him out?
Yeah, it's one of them. You wouldn't be surprised if you missed the fight, woke up on a Sunday morning, check your phone and saw DDP won by submission in round 3. You wouldn't be surprised if you woke up and seeing that. You'd be a bit confused, but you think, oh, he's done it again. He's done it
He's done it
again.
again. That Du Plessis, he's done it again. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll go on to the co-main. I mean, complete domination. Weili Zhang getting it done against Suarez. I mean, Suarez took it down first round, but from there it was pretty much written on the wall what was going to happen. And again, Zhang is just proven she's the best women's fighter currently in UFC.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I felt I felt quite bad on Tatiana Suarez during the course of the fight because whenever she was pushing her wrestling, the crowd seemed to boo her. Whenever she was trying to shoot in or just trying to hold on, she was just getting booed, and I felt quite bad. I felt quite bad for the woman, to be honest. But Zhang Weili, what a fighter, man. She out wrestled the wrestler. That was Suarez's only kind of sell going into it. People like Chael Sonnen, Daniel Cormier talking about, she's a wrestler with X pedigree, Y, with she she's just her wrestling pedigree is great because of X, Y, and Z and blah 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 blah. But Zhang Weili out wrestled her whenever she shot in. Her wrestling defense was great. She shoved her off, pulled her up, got reversals. She out wrestled the wrestler. But I think Tatiana Suarez showed a real amount of heart in that fight. She just kept coming. She was losing, but she just kept coming and coming, and you got to respect it.
Yeah, she's got a hell of a story as well. So hopefully it's not the last we've seen of her. And I mean, again, that was her first fight in what, like a year and a half, and fighting against the best fighter. That's a pretty tough ask for her. I mean, Weili's what next? We spoke about this before, I think, and you've got still some fights in the strawweight division, and then obviously you have the Shevchenko fight. You have the flyweight potential move. I don't know if she's spoken about if she's interested in that. I'm sure she's probably confident enough that she'll beat anyone. But where do you see Zhang going next?
I don't really know. I hope they do the Shevchenko or Man and Fiat, right? Man and Fiat, right? Man and Fiat fight.
Right.
Yeah. I hope she does the move up to flyweight. I've not saw her talk about it in any interviews or anything, but I think that's something the UFC should really push for. That would be a great legacy fight for. Well, first off, Shevchenko needs to get past Man on Fiat, if I'm saying her name right there. But if she does, that would be a massive legacy fight for both ladies, and that's probably going to be the best-selling women's fight of all time. Yeah.
I was thinking, as you were saying, I was thinking there's not many women's fights that at the moment that could currently look at and go, wow, that could main event a pay-per-view, but that sells itself, doesn't it? That's such an incredible fight if you can get it. I mean, even if let's say Faro gets a finish against Shevchenko, I mean, that probably even sells it even more because then you add in that power to the mix, and we know Zhang can get caught, and as Fug Rose did, I mean, that could be a big fight too. For you can't look past Faro either, to be fair, and I mean that would be big,
especially with Zhang Weili moving up in weight as well. Who knows? Maybe those girls are a little bit bigger, just pack that bit more of a punch. Who knows? It's something I'd love to see. Something I'd love to see, definitely. And speaking of packing a punch, what did you think of the Justin Taffer and Taliesin Teixeira fight?
Yeah, I mean, it went how I thought it was going to go, to be honest. What on earth is he doing, Justin Taffer, on the main card of a UFC pay-per-view? Bless him. He just what do you expect to happen? Poor fella just got absolutely steamrolled by Teixeira. I mean, it's one. To be honest, it's one of those victories that you just go like, okay, because it doesn't really tell you a whole lot about what he's going to do. I mean, it's tough because I mean he did what he was supposed to, and that is the minimum. You put him on that card to get him. I guess you put him on that slot as well to get him that big finish against a guy that will probably lose, and now he's there, and so it'll be interesting to see what he does next. I hope they level up the tests. I mean, there's a couple of those sort of heavyweight guys that if you want to slightly make it harder every time you could and still score like a nice range of knockouts if you are good enough. Because I mean, again, it's not the most in-depth division, so interesting to see how Teixeira does. I mean, Were there any other takeaways for you from that main card, or even dropping down into the prelims?
Well, for the main card, again, just quickly going back over the Justin Taffer fight, like I
Mm.
think I think he should probably have some time off and just probably
Mm.
and just probably recover from that, and I don't know, have a serious think about what's next, because I don't think his record in the UFC is that great either. So who knows? They might want him out eventually. And Justin Taffer and his brother, his brother who's also I think his brother's a light heavyweight, I believe.
Yeah, what's his name? Junior Taffer, isn't it? Which is
Yeah. That's him. They're pretty big. I think I think they're pretty big over in the Aussies, New Zealand side of the world. A pair of brothers fighting, so we're quite sad to see them leave. Like the Jimmy Crute fight, Jimmy Crute fumbled that finish
yeah.
in the how did he not put him away? What a comeback that would have been, losing your past few and then just and then finishing this prospect in Bellato. Well, I say prospect, some guy's supposed to be an heavy kid in your home territory, and you finish him in the first round. What a comeback that would have
Mm.
been! But yeah, I think Bellato really brought it round in the second and third round. I think he really brought it back big time. I don't disagree with the decision, with the draw. I don't disagree with it. I think you rebook it, and the loser has to go, or whether
Who's the
it's
least town? Who's the least
yeah.
town match? I don't mind that.
Yeah.
They might be a bit light on the feet and with heavyweights though, light heavyweights. Sorry. So I don't know. And it was one thing to say, like draws. I don't know. Draws make the record look like a bit uglier. I can't like. I don't know what it is, but seeing Jimmy Crute with like the 12-4-2, I don't like it. But I do agree with you that should have been a draw. I mean, the Jake Matthews fight was what it was. Just it was sort of a fight.
Yeah.
Santos with a good win against Jenkins. I thought Kong Wang looked really good in that fight against Bruno Brazil, someone that had beat Molly McCann. That was a standout performance. Is there
Yeah.
anything else on that from that card? Anyone that stood out for you? I mean, there is one fight that was really, really good, and a full force
Oh.
combat favorite. Unfortunately, coming up short in Cody Steele. That Rongzhu fight was incredible, wasn't it?
Oh mate, deserved fight of the night. 100%. I've watched that. I think I've watched it back a couple times now. Yeah. I was really surprised, mate. What a great fight that was. Cody Steele come out in the first round, looked great, trying to take him down. His striking looked good, but I just think over time the experience of Rongzhu just kind of he knew when to pick up the pace. He knew when to stop and have a minute. And I think Cody Steele kind of blew his load a little bit towards the middle of the fight,
Mm.
and I think Rongzhu just recognised that, stay composed, stiff jab, stiff jab. What one biggest takeaway from that fight was Rongzhu's stiff jab, because mate, some of the
Mm.
Cody Steele has a chin of steel, mate. I'm telling you now.
We're locked in for Cody Steele, man. I'm excited to see him fight again because that was a really good fight. And Rongzhu getting his second official UFC win. I'm intrigued to see him again, and that's how you want to leave any fight really. Is I want to see this guy fight again, and he certainly did that. Topuria, the older one, sorry, he got a win. It was a good. You can tell he's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. He's certainly not on the level of his brother, but a pretty good
Yeah.
win for him. And then was there anything else for you on that incredible? I'm going to mess this name up, but Salkilid or whatever.
Oh yeah.
19 seconds,
Oh
knocked him out. What a way to start! I actually thought the first few fights on the card were really good. It sort of
yeah.
started off hot and then trailed off slightly, but I mean, what a way to open the card and put yourself out there in the UFC.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Those first few fights, they were absolute bangers, mate. I think I enjoyed the early prelims more than the main card, to be honest. When I was watching when I was watching some of the fights back, A- Ashnal Jubli, I believe he's the only. I think he's the only male Indian fighter in the
Hmm.
UFC. So sad times in the Indian MMA scene, but oh well.
Yeah,
Good for
that's him.
Quillen Sarkild. What a name! What a name
Yeah,
that is.
I think you've got that right. To be honest, that sounded better than what I said.
Yeah, Quillen Sarkild. What a name! What a name, man! Look, check out his hair. I've just got up the UFC website behind me and check out his hairdo, man. It's yeah.
You've got it
It,
going,
I,
man.
I don't remember it looking that bushy in the fight. I don't know if he had a trim beforehand or yeah.
I think he must have. But I mean, it was an okay card, and to be honest, that I mean, that's probably what the expectation was. I mean, we spoke about this card is very thin, and then the early fights delivered. The main fights were probably directly as expected. Is that sort of your overall takeaway from this card?
Yeah, just kind of it's just kind of another UFC card, isn't it? There's nothing
Mm,
really massive to take away from it. Some good finishes, but kind of the results you expected. I, f- I, f- I I'm the most impressed by the prelim fighters. The prelim
mm,
fighters absolutely carried this card, in my opinion. If the main card was pretty weak in comparison, and that's a weird thing to say about a UFC pay per view. That is a weird thing to say. I think they need to have a think about what they're putting out. When you compare that to Adesanya and Imavov, that card in
mm.
Saudi compared to this pay per view, what's going on? What is going on?
Yeah. Is it too much a reliance on home fighters really? When you know what the home fighters are, and you know it's Jimmy Crute, it's Jake Matthews, decent fighters, but we know they're not showstoppers. Justin Taffer, you know, and against the big heavyweight, I suppose that was there for the big finish, but was they
Yeah,
just too reliant on the hometown guys this time around?
yeah. Well, they probably just wanted to show off the Australian slash New Zealand talent, I guess, and you
Mm,
can't blame them. But I'm just having a look at the card, and if you rejigged a few of these, it would have been so much better if you would have put the Jack Jenkins fight maybe on the main card, take off Justin
yeah,
Taffer, and have that headline the prelims. The Colby Thickness and Alexandre Taporia. If you move that up, or you need to put that on the main card. There's a selling point right there. Taporia's
yeah,
brother is making his UFC debut. That could have had so much more hype. It just kind of seems like a bit of a missed opportunity, to be honest. If they did a bit of rejigging and and the Cody Steele Rongzu fight, if that was on a bit later
yeah.
and got more eyes on it, you'd have two fresh new stars right there, or two up and coming prospects that people are going to be keeping a close eye on at least. So yeah, I just think a few tweaks in the card would have been so much better.
I'm with you on that. That sounds good. I mean, we've got more middleweights coming up. Jaord Cannonier, Gregory Rodrigues. It's a fight, and I'm actually, to be honest, Greg Rodrigues, heavy hitter. Jaord Cannonier, we know what he can do. With the hopes that they don't sort of stand and look at each other for a bit. I mean, what are you hoping for this fight? I think this might actually be okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know what to expect because with Cannonier, he's either great or he's not. Like
Mm,
he either puts on a banging performance or he doesn't. And RoboCop Gregory Rodrigues, he's great, but he's been kind of hit or miss as of
mm,
in my opinion. So I think I think the winner of this, I think this is going to be a loser makes the way down the rankings. This is kind of like
yeah.
a pecking order fight. I don't know how it's going to go, but I could see. I can see Rodriguez decision. I'm calling it. I could see
Mm.
him banging Cannonier over the 5 rounds. Just maybe kind of just jabs, 1-2s, low kicks, body shots. His bread and butter. His bread and butter.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of Cannonier fights tend to end up that way in that sense. So I'm with you on that. I didn't actually realize it's an Apex card, which is my least favorite type of card. But there are some really good fights on there. I mean, that Calvin Kattar Yusuf Salal fight that stands out. That is a really exciting fight to be on the co-main. And to be honest, I know probably why they've gone with the heavyweight to main event, but and I know Kate is on a bit of a spiral at the minute, but he's not like he's losing to crap. He's losing to good fighters regularly. And Zalal, I mean, talk about another big test. Yusuf Zalal is surging right now. That incredible win against Jack Shaw, beat Jano Aaron's, Billy Q. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but he's got like 6 or 7 wins in a row, and he's got good wins as well. That Jack Shaw win stands out too. So
Yeah,
I mean, that fight, that's a very good fight, and probably the fight to look out for on this card.
yeah. I wasn't aware of Yusuf Salal before this card. I didn't have a clue who he was, and when you mentioned off those names, I'm like, oh right, now I know who he is. Right, he seems like an heavy kid just off the names you mentioned alone that he's beaten. And yeah, and it's like you say, it's not like Calvin Kattar's lost to nobody. He's lost. Let's get it up. Let's pull it up.
Let's do the work.
Yeah, what like
100%.
Aljamain Sterling. the former bantamweight champion Arnold Allen, who's top 5 featherweight. Josh Emmett, top 5 heavyweight. Again, not heavyweight, featherweight. Sorry, but still, like, he's not. And again, the fight before that was a win when he beat
Was that the Chikadze fight?
Yeah, Jakadze.
Yeah, and
That
that
was
he
it. I was
schooled him
struggling
in
to
that
say his
fight.
name.
Yeah, he schooled him in that fight as well. I remember that Chikadze was a real big prospect, and then Kate was just like he sort of Hollowayed him, and sort of did the other way around. So I mean that's an interesting. And Zalal's story is pretty cool. He was released from the UFC, 3 defeats, and then came back. He didn't by the looks of it. I mean the guy he did some boxing, did some kickboxing, had an MMA fight as well, and just sort of grew back his record. I mean to be fair, the guys he lost to weren't like stinkers. He lost to Ilya Taporia, lost to Sungwon Choi, Sean Woodson. I mean, these aren't bad losses to have. Obviously, no loss is good, but it's not that bad. But someone fighting their way back into UFC, and we've seen that with, I'm going to forget his name, the guy that Aldo just lost to, was it Batista?
Yeah,
And
Mario Batista.
Those guys who have lost fights and then end up getting cut from the UFC and have now returned and are even better. So definitely an interesting story there. There's a couple more fights on this card. I'm a fan of when I used to have Fight Pass and I used to be really locked in on LFA and all this. The Bonfim brothers were really good fighters, and then they stood out to me. And I remember their UFC debut; they both looked excellent. Gabriel Bonfim takes on Chaos Williams, which is just a banger. And I'm not so familiar with Sadjikov, is Mel Bonfim's taken on. That's the 3rd highest fight, but he's beat Terence McKinney. He got the draw with Borshev, so interesting to see his level. But those guys are super exciting to me. Is there any fighters on this card you're excited by?
Yeah. To be fair, I was just having another quick gander down these prelims, and again, I seem to be more excited for the prelims than I do for the main card. You've got Angela Hill coming back against Souza, Brazilian, if that's how you say it, Souza.
Yeah.
Jared Gordon against again another Brazilian. We've got Brazilians galore on this card. Rafael Estevam versus Jesus Aguilera or Jesus, however they pronounce his name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, doesn't look like an half bad card, to be honest. I wouldn't. On at 9 p.m. British time
That's
as
not
well,
bad.
so that's not
That's
too
not
bad.
bad.
That's
We're
not too
winning.
bad at all. Yeah,
We're
I
winning at
think
the minute.
this
I think
card will
I'm.
probably be on when I come home from my fight, so
Your
I'll give
fight. I
this
mean,
a watch.
we'll get onto that in a sec. I mean, unfortunately, I think Jared Gordon's had to pull out, or his opponents had to withdraw from that fight because I've not seen it. And there was a couple more that I think Jacob Malkoun was meant to fight Vieira. That's not happened, but being replaced with Petrovsky. Edmund Shabazin, what happened to him? He needs to get his career back on track against Dylan Budka. I mean, that looks like a set-up fight. I don't know too much about Budka, but I mean, he's Shabazin's on thin ice, I think, in terms of his career. So it'll be interesting to see what happened. But when we talk about young prospects, Alex Smith, you're fighting this weekend. What can we look for? How are you feeling, obviously, and also give people the details. And if in case anyone is local to you and where it is, how can they get involved?
Yeah. Well, start off. I'm feeling great. I've had a great camp. I say this every week. Every time you and Dan ask me about, I've had a great camp. I feel great. I'm just kind of regurgitating shit at this point. But no. I'm feeling good. I'm really happy with the progress I've made, and I feel like I've come on like leaps and bounds. Like, not even to toot my own horn, but yeah, just look forward to a banging performance and a banging walkout song. That's what you can expect: banging walkout song and a banging performance. But I've got a couple tickets left, so if you fancy coming, the show's in Farmworth in Bolton, the Hideout Arena. It's I believe the venue's called the Hideout Arena. But yeah, if you want a ticket, ping us across a message at AlexSmith02_ on Instagram. Or if you message the team at Full Force Combat, I'm sure they can point you in the right direction.
Yes, of course. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any live streams or anything like that. But I think Full Force Combat, Dan's going to be there. I'm pretty sure, and it's going to be exciting, man. I'm rooting for you, and I'm sure everyone else that is here listening as well is rooting for you as well. So bring it on. make sure you are liked and subscribed to Full Force Combat, or follow us on Instagram, because again, we're going to have stuff from Alex's fight, we're going to have stuff from UFC, we're going to have stuff from Octagon, all kinds of events. I know Shamrock just had a fight announced, and there's no Full Force Combat is hot on the heels of Shamrock. Anywhere he goes, we want to see him fight. So I'm sure Dan will probably make the trip to Germany out there and go watch that fight, or at least we'll have coverage of it. So plenty to look forward to, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Brilliant.